What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode number 7 of Data with Peachey. So episode 7, now this one is going to be all about the AI takeover. I think I'm probably going to name it something like that, but unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard in some form or fashion that AI is basically taking over everything. It's going to change the world. It's going to take over all our jobs, cause mass chaos, and everything is going to be completely different because AI is going to do all the things. Now, while I do believe that AI is fundamentally going to change our lives, some hopefully mostly for the better and probably a few things for the worse, I'm not sure it's going to be all the things that everybody's talked about. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk about everything that you need to do to bring AI basically kind of to either your lives or your business. We're going to talk about the impacts that data has on all of AI. Spoiler alert, it's actually quite a bit. So I promise this will make sense and we're going to get there. Now, if you're listening to this after May 20th, this is the week after Google held their annual developers conference called Google I/O. Now, they announced some pretty cool things. They announced Project Astra, which is a multimodal AI that can process information, and you actually just kind of hold your phone up and say, look at all this cool stuff that it's doing, and understands and responds in kind of natural language in the conversation like you're talking to a friend of yours. On the Monday before that event, OpenAI held a very small event where they showcased their newest model, GPT-4o, which was a multimodal assistant as well, our multimodal AI as well as Project Astra. Now, it feels like GPT-4o is a little ahead of Astra at this moment, but both, and I have said this on my social media, are violently careening us towards making the movie Her a reality. So much so that OpenAI actually had to change the voice of their Sky assistant because it sounded too much like Scarlett Johansson. For those of you at home that have no idea what multimodal is, multimodal means it can process and interact with text and images and video and voice all in one. So it's all of the different senses that we have. That's what AI does for multimodal. I hinted in the data quality episode that if your company wants to do some of these cool AI things, you're going to need sound governance and data management practices, in place to truly be successful with it. But which ones? That's the key, is which ones. So in this episode, I'm going to give you some of my recommendations to help you start your company's AI journey. By the way, notice I said start. The AI stuff is evolving so fast and so rapidly, it's really hard to keep up. Matter of fact, that, even at the moment that I'm speaking, there are some states in the United States that's actually already passing laws and regulations related to the usage of data in some of their AI models. Now, I'll jump onto this soapbox to say that we're writing laws and we really don't understand that we've been using AI and RPA and things like that for a really long time in business. Think about automated credit decisioning. That mechanism has been around for a long time. I think that people are just now getting wise to the idea that this is existing from a regulatory perspective. So there's going to be some interesting things come up in the regulation space as it relates to some of the stuff that businesses have been doing for a really long time. So without further ado, let's get into the first recommendation. Seems fairly obvious. Good, clean data. Hello. There is an old saying that says garbage in, garbage out. Guess what AI models learn from? The data and the patterns inside the data that they're trained on. So if your data is flawed, incomplete, blank, biased, even if it's not meaningfully, like you don't mean for it to be biased, the model's going to learn those flaws because that's what it's trained to do. It's going to produce inaccurate, potentially biased results if you feed it potentially flawed, incomplete, or biased information. So again, clean data ensures that your AI is learning the relevant and accurate information needed to give you exactly more accurate, improved accuracy, and better predictions for what you're trying to get that data to do. Obviously, I just kind of hinted at it. Good, clean data reduces, that word, bias. You cannot have bias inside your models because it's going to then perpetuate unfairness, perpetuate discrimination, even if it's not meant to do that. Clean data can actually help you mitigate that risk. And also, by the way, using clean data, your models can then be trained faster and more efficient. So efficiency is another good aspect of having good, clean data as you're getting inside your AI data journey. So again, the model that spends more time on messy, dirty, noisy data is a model that's going to take a long time to train to really hone in exactly what you want. So good, clean data in the front end will help develop that model on the back end and go a little bit faster. Reliability. Models trained on good, clean data are efficient, they reduce bias, and they are reliable in their predictions. You know what to expect because you put that good, clean data into it. And then ultimately a cost savings. I mean, how many times do you have to go back and forth when you feed it bad data to go in and then retrain your model and realize you put bad data back into it and then take that back out and retrain the model again. Overall, clean data in operational efficiency, operational reporting, and ultimately AI is going to make your business bigger, faster, stronger, and more sustainable if you use good, clean data. I can't believe we have to have this conversation. Like, this feels like obvious to me, I guess. But I guess here we are, listening to a guy with a weird haircut talk about good, clean data as it relates to getting you on your AI journey. Now, the second one is something that's very near and dear to my heart. What are your AI principles? I mentioned it in another previous episode too. Don't have the fear of missing out or keeping up with the Joneses or anything like that. Before you dive into your AI, what does your company stand for when it comes to the AI principles? What's your North Star? What are you trying to do? AI principles, in my opinion, are crucial before you even launch an AI initiative because it provides ethical guidance for your company. What do you stand for and what is your ethical decision-making framework? What are you willing to take on from a risk perspective? What are you not willing to take on from a risk perspective? Because again, that's the second piece, risk mitigation. When you lay out clear principles, practices, the business can then proactively identify and then address, that's too much of a risk for me. I'm not willing to do that because that puts me at a risk of violating my ethical guidelines for my company, right? So it's going to help you build your reputational trust. It's going to help you build, and mitigate any legal or financial risks. Regulatory compliance, by the way, when you have those principles and practices in place, regulatory compliance just kind of happens because again, the regions are developing so fast, these AI, laws and regulations. By having your AI principles documented and down on paper, it's really going to give you a head start for your company to say, hey, this is what we're standing for. And then to show the regulators when they come in, hey, this is what we are saying ethically we're willing to do with data as well as it relates to AI. Doing this obviously can give you the ability to build trust. You build trust with your customers, you build trust with the regulators, law, all of that. Clear principles promotes the transparency to your customers, partners, and different regulators, what you are and aren't willing to do with data as it relates to AI. And then lastly, you align with your values and it can give you a competitive advantage. Think about it from a customer's perspective. Are you willing to work more with a company who's very transparent in how your data is going to be used with their company? Or if you got to dig a little bit and you actually don't have any idea what a company stands for, which one are you honestly most likely to do business with? Of course, that's not a hard and fast rule, but you would tend to lean more towards a company that you can trust. Somebody's a little bit more open about what it's going to be. Now, obviously, they have to talk the talk and walk the walk. So, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But the idea is it could give you a competitive advantage moving forward. I definitely know that I talked about this one in a previous episode is stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. It is a surefire way to waste money and leave a bad taste in a bunch of people's mouths is when it comes to AI initiatives. If you just shoot from the hip and just say, we have to have AI, just go make something with AI. Please have your use cases. What are your clear objectives that you're trying to meet when you're using these AI initiatives? You've got to identify different problems, potential opportunities that the AI can bring value, and the company can then focus their resources on that particular area that has the highest potential impact. Again, that goes really well with tying into the next thing, align it to specific business goals and objectives. Again, can't believe we're still talking about this, the idea that we're going to take AI and we're not just going to do it for the sake of doing it, really hone in with clear objectives, alignment to the business goals, and then resource allocation. When you do this with clear, good, solid use cases that you believe that your company can stand behind, Everybody gets behind that. They allocate the resources accordingly. Everybody's swimming and going in the same direction with the same North Star. That way, everybody can see that when you are successful in your AI initiatives, you're not shooting from the hip. You're all working towards a common outcome. And that's exactly how you can get away from the pitfalls or the overly ambitious, vague, I'm going to do AI because AI. No, targeted solutions that have specific use cases is going to give you the best opportunity, best bang for your buck when you're getting involved in these new AI initiatives. Next one up is, do you know the regulations? Laws are just starting to be written. They're actually being written kind of as I speak, albeit they are moving much slower than exactly how AI is evolving. So it's important to keep up to date on the laws and regulations that are happening. Data privacy and protection, obviously, how is your personal data being used? That's going to be kind of at the core is, how is my personal data being used? What's being collected on me? How is it being used? Remember, this can go into the ethical AI principles that I mentioned before to say, hey, what's a company going to be doing with my personal data? Obviously, we talked about bias and discrimination. Regulations are going to really make sure that they hone in on these data AI models to say, hey, how are you preventing the discrimination and the bias within your models? Spoiler alert, it's good, clean data. And then in regulations are also going to be talking about transparency and explainability. Tell me how your AI model got to where it was. And by the way, this leads me to my final point is, for now, you cannot leave your AI unchecked. There is a human requirement right now, and I don't see it really ending anytime soon. AI is and has changed our world, and I don't believe that's going to slow down anytime soon. I've said it before, I think the AI is really going to kind of revolutionize our society, but for now, we can't leave it unchecked. You got to have human oversight, whether that's through proper controls, sound process design, and the ability to say it with me, govern and manage your AI like you do with your data. Where do you think this comes from? For those that have obviously listened to this podcast before, data governance, data management, and data oversight. All the fundamental data capabilities the data governance and management and oversight programs have been building for quite literally years and decades at this point. And they can help you drive your AI initiatives for your company forward. If your company doesn't have resources like that, it's time to invest in data management and data governance programs and practices. They will revolutionize not only how you do AI, but that they're going to revolutionize how you do your holistic data ecosystem. They are going to be people in your company doing these activities that are solely focused on the data, analytics, and AI for your company. The world is going towards being data and AI driven. They've definitely been data driven. That's the thing. Your company, if you think about it, they might do something else, but they're driven by data. How do you get more customers? Well, you look at data to say where you would want to target for more customers. That's the thing. If you don't have people in the company that's governance, data management, and data oversight by design, this is now the time where you need to go invest in that area. You do not need pricey consultants to tell you, quote unquote, how to data. You don't need that. You have the people internally that I am willing to bet that know your data inside and out better than anybody else. It's now in time to invest in those people. Invest in them first, thinking about external resources after you get to your AI strategy documented inside. Invest internally first, and then you can start to invest externally. But I don't think you need overly pricey consultants and things like that. So that's it. That's all I have. A little bit longer of an episode. I try to keep it less than 15 minutes. I'm not sure if this edit and post is going to be less than 15 minutes. If it is, I did great with editing. If it's not, I apologize. I'm still trying to get this thing down to a good amount of time. If you're watching this on YouTube, do all the YouTube things: like, share, subscribe, thumbs up, leave a comment below. If you're listening on Apple Podcast or your favorite podcasting application, please consider giving it a 5-star review. Thanks for stopping by. This has been episode number 7 of Data with Peachey.